This week on The Great Outdoors, we'll find a vast landscape to explore.
Highest point in Jenny Lake's wilderness. Top of the world.
We'll see some magnificent sights.
It's taller than most buildings and cities and older than almost anything on Earth.
And I'll show you the best way to overnight here.
Okay, I got the giant-sized men portions in my hand.
What a place.
You'll enjoy this.
The Great Outdoors with Tom Steenstra.
Welcome to The Great Outdoors. I'm Tom Steenstra. Today we'll head to the Sequoia High Sierra Camp, trek to world-class Mitchell Peak, walk amid the biggest trees in the world, and find a few other surprises. Let's go. So this is it.
Yep.
Yeah, this
You're here.
is it. You're here.
I've heard about this new High Sierra Camp, and I want to go into the Jenny Lakes Wilderness and climb Mitchell Peak.
Oh, we've been there. Now you're
It
going
is
to
a
like
great
that.
hike.
It's a wonderful
You can see
hike.
the whole world from Mitchell Peak.
In the southern Sierra Nevada, between Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks, you'll find Sequoia National Monument, and within it, the Sequoia High Sierra Camp.
So this is the trail register.
So every trail user has to sign in.
Yeah, they want to know how many people are in here and where they're going.
I've heard the views from camp are second to none. This is going to be a great trip. It's a bit tricky to get here, but worth the trip. Take I-5 south at Highway 180 east from Fresno until you reach the park entrance. From here, drive 6 miles on General's Highway and take a left on Big Meadows Horse Corral Road.
So how far is it up to the camp?
It's a little less than a mile.
Just a mile?
Yep.
What's waiting for us up there?
Well, we've got big canvas tents on platforms, beds up off the ground, pillow top mattresses, hot showers, good food, a lot of camaraderie.
Well, I brought my sleeping bag.
Oh, you don't need your sleeping bag. Anybody can camp here because you have your bed all ready for you.
So if somebody has never camped in their life, this is the place.
This is the place. You don't need your equipment.
This all looks like old growth.
It is old growth. It's some of these trees are 500 or 600 years old. The
Wow.
red fir lives a very long time.
You know, when I hike in wilderness, I'm used to carrying a really heavy backpack.
Well, you don't have to now. That's what's nice about this. We have elderly people who enjoy coming up here because they don't have to carry the weight, and it's not too hard of a hike.
I guess kids can make it too easy. About how long does it take to get up to camp?
Oh, about 20 minutes is all, and you'll be there.
What's the altitude up here?
8,000 feet.
So it helps to acclimate yourself for a day or two.
Yeah, it does, because you go up in the wilderness area and you can climb up to peaks, say 10,300 feet. It'll test your lung capacity.
This trail looks like it's got some miles on it.
Well, you know, it's part of the old Don Cecil Trail, which was the historic access between Sequoia Park and Cedar Grove down in the valley of Kings Canyon. So it's probably 100 years old.
So it does have some miles on it. Pretty High Sierra meadow.
Tom, we've got gooseberries blooming now, but in the spring, which is really the end of July and the first part of August, we have this whole meadow is filled with lupines, paintbrush, columbine. It's just a plethora of wildflowers. It's really beautiful.
Nature's garden. Hear that sound? I love that sound. A High Sierra Creek. I'm imprinted with it. Takes me back to every wilderness trip I've ever done. All right, this is it already?
This is it. You're going to love this.
We got here way faster than I was expecting. It's quite a place.
Spectacular.
Hi, Ryan. This is Ryan,
Hey,
the
Ryan, this is
chef
Ryan.
here.
Take your pack off.
Man,
You'll enjoy this.
what a view.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
You can see a piece of Kings Canyon over there?
Right, there's the obelisk up there, and the Spanish peaks. The Eagle Peaks are on the right of the obelisk. It's another wilderness area over there.
Yeah, I've hiked some of it and seen it from the air.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to hitting Mitchell Peak and seeing everything.
Well, before you do that, let me show you around.
Yeah, I'd like to see this place.
The first time I set foot here, I felt overwhelmed by how beautiful it was. But you have to remember there was nothing here. He has a better vision than I do.
When I was building the camp, I'd be out running around, you know, doing construction, meeting with the workers, and I'd look over and see Suzanne, and she'd be perched out over, you know, some scenic overlook over the canyon.
I like to get away from the city life.
It's just very, very quiet up here. Not a lot of jet noise, no traffic sounds. Just very serene, peaceful.
It took Burr and Suzanne Hughes several years to build the Sequoia High Sierra Camp, but their work really paid off. They found the perfect location to pitch their tents. The Sequoia High Sierra Camp sits on 40 acres of privately owned land with 36 spacious and comfortable tent cabins, an open-air dining hall, and a bathroom with flush toilets and hot showers. You don't have to be an experienced hiker to enjoy staying here.
The ideal age is really from age 6 to 80. If you can walk, you can get to the camp. And then you can hang out at the camp, or you can go on day hikes, use it like a wilderness outpost. We have wilderness areas all around us, and there's lakes and mountains to explore, or you can just sit here and read a book.
Beds with feather pillows, hot showers, gourmet meals. I could get used to this kind of camping. Coming up next on The Great Outdoors, breathtaking views from 10,000 feet. Welcome back to The Great Outdoors. I've just arrived at a spectacular new camp in the High Sierra. The views from this place are stunning, but the vistas from nearby Mitchell Peak are even more spectacular.
I've always wanted to do this hike to Mitchell Peak,
It's a great hike.
and I guess I'm going with somebody who's done it a few times.
Yeah, I've lived up here for a couple months now, and I've been able to do this hike 3 or 4 times. I love it. It's definitely a grinder at first, but you get used to it.
The best way to hike Mitchell Peak is from the Sequoia High Sierra Camp. Take I-5 south to Highway 180, and you'll find the camp just outside of Kings Canyon National Park. With all your gear stowed at camp, a trip into the Jenny Lakes wilderness is a piece of cake, although the altitude can turn even a simple day hike into a workout.
The only incentive I need to stay in shape is knowing I always want to come to places like this and be able to do it.
You know, it's funny you should say that, because I've been hiking all my life almost, and it seems that it never grows old. You always have a reason to be working out, and it's just a bunch of fun.
So you've been doing it your whole life?
Pretty much.
I really love this granite country. You know, back at camp, I heard somebody ask you, and you said this was your office.
It's a lovely place to work, isn't it? I have these rocks as my desk, and I have this view for a picture on my wall.
Yeah, this is a little butt kicker, but there's the end. How high are we?
We're about 10,200 right now, with 165 feet left.
This feels good.
Yeah,
Oh wow, look how the world's opening up.
absolutely. Not much better than this.
At over 10,000 feet, this last little climb can be tough, but it'll all be worth it, trust me.
This is a pretty good climb. 2,300 feet in 3 miles. You know, why have you done this 4 times in the last 3 weeks?
Well, if you look around, the liberation, the view, the freedom, it's all in one package here.
You get over 10,000 feet and the whole world changes.
There's the summit, right up ahead. We're nearly there.
Almost there. It's exciting, isn't it?
Sure is.
Like 20 more steps.
Got to be careful through these rocks, but it's a big payoff.
Yeah.
Good job. Definitely.
Man, incredible. Top of the world.
Well worth it, no?
Wow. 10,365 feet.
Yep,
Highest point in Jenny Lakes Wilderness.
we did it.
What a reward! And 360 degrees. We can see everything from the edge of the Great Western Divide, to the forest in Sugarloaf Valley, to the distinctive Middle and North Palisades Mountains. And if you look north, you'll see the Monarch Divide with Mount Goddard looming in the background.
Goes from a sea of conifers up to 14,000-foot peaks everywhere you look.
It's incredible.
There's no landscape like this anywhere on Earth.
It's gorgeous.
This may have been my first trip to Mitchell Peak, but it definitely won't be my last. Coming up next on The Great Outdoors, fine dining in the middle of nowhere. This week on The Great Outdoors, we've been exploring a new wilderness camp in the High Sierra. After climbing 10,000-foot Mitchell Peak, I'm ready to kick back, relax, and enjoy the comfort of the Sequoia High Sierra Camp. This camp is located just outside of Kings Canyon National Park. Follow I-5 South and 180 East through Fresno to get to the park entrance. The High Sierra Camp is not what I'd call roughing it. I mean, this place has an executive chef. Let's see how he prepares a backcountry meal.
I removed all the white center parts from the lettuce. I like the nice green leaves. Shows I care about what I'm doing and I'm not lazy. And I actually did it myself, believe it or not. Les croutons. Okay, and that's tossed nicely.
Each evening at camp, Ryan prepares a full-on meal. Dinner is a great time to get to know your fellow campers, enjoy sunset views, and yeah, eat like a king.
Okay, everybody enjoy your salads and we'll move on to the next course. My cooking is primarily Mediterranean influence, a lot of Italian. It's a very interesting dining experience here. The landscape and then the food, of course, is outstanding. You're not going to have too many experiences like this anywhere else in the world, I don't think. I'm putting together the risotto, which is a risotto milanese. It's basically a saffron risotto, little butter, little cheese, nice and rich. Very good, very good. Finish the dish with a little fresh mint. Perfetto.
Just looking at the risotto makes me hungry. But before we get to the entree, Ryan is readying the second course.
This is my amuse-bouche for this evening. It is New Zealand green lip mussel stuffed with a little sea scallop, a little bacon. It's got a curry mousseline sauce.
Ryan learned his craft from the California Culinary Institute.
Finito.
And he honed his talent as a private chef for Bruce Springsteen and Faith Hill. Hey, if it's good enough for the boss.
All right, we're ready to go on entrees.
The main course is ossobuco, and it's just about ready. After the final touches, Ryan is ready to present his masterpiece.
Okay, I got the giant-sized men portions in my hand. Laura's coming with some of the more dainty sizes.
After all these courses, it's hard to imagine having any room for dessert. But it'll be hard to ignore what Ryan's whipped up. Gourmet chocolate muffins with vanilla cream and strawberries. Man, I'm just in heaven.
I don't think anyone ever leaves here hungry, that's for sure.
After a gourmet meal, camp guests can sit back with a glass of wine and watch the sky turn a spectacular shade of fiery red.
Oh man, that feels good. Yeah.
The camp can get chilly at night, and there's nothing like a roaring fire, good company, and a little storytelling to warm the spirits.
I get asked all the time, what is this? And why do you wear it? This is a grizzly bear claw, and it came from a big Alaskan brown bear from the Katmai in Alaska. And the way the story went is this fisherman was hiking up a brook, and he saw this boulder bobbing along the shore. Well, boulders don't bob, they don't float, so he picked it up, and it was a human skull. And it was like there was a rock inside rattling. So he tipped it upside down, and this claw fell out of the eye hole. He picked it up and gave it to my mentor, Larry Green. We figured out that this was over 100 years old, maybe from a miner from the Alaskan gold rush of 1903. Well, a jeweler made this piece, and an Indian friend of mine made the neck piece. The black things are from buffalo hooves. And since I've been wearing it, it's like I've been touched by magic every day. It's true. Every single day in the outdoors, I've been touched by magic. No, it is true.
What a one-of-a-kind experience, with some of the best scenery on the planet as a backdrop. The Sequoia High Sierra Camp is a must-visit, and I'll be back for seconds. And maybe seconds on dinner, too. For more information on the Sequoia High Sierra Camp, visit sequoiahighsierracamp.com or call 866-654-2877.
People ask me, how do you have time to go to all these great places? The answer is I lock in the dates with my best friends. That forces you to go have a good time. One of the reasons I've hiked most of the Pacific Crest Trail is because every year we lock in a week or two, and that forces us to go. That's the key. Lock in the dates, then head out.
Coming up next on The Great Outdoors, we'll take a stroll among giants. Today on The Great Outdoors, I've been basking in the views and luxury of the Sequoia High Sierra Camp in the southern Sierra Nevada. The camp is just outside Kings Canyon National Park. Take I-5 south at Highway 180 east to get here. One of my favorite places to visit in Kings Canyon is Grants Grove, home of the giant sequoias.
Of all the trees I've seen in the world, this cathedral grove of sequoias is my favorite.
Well, you know, the first time I ever saw it, I thought the same thing. It's a beautiful grove of trees. And when I first came here, I felt like I was in the presence of giants, including John Muir, who was here as well.
I've been here at dawn, have it all to myself, watch the sunbeams pour through. I swear, it's a spiritual place. It may not be the Lee, the Grant, or the Sherman, but to me, it's still the most special spot in the parks.
It is. It's a really beautiful stand of trees. It's just beautiful.
This grove, called the Happy Family, is a wonderful setting for a hike. Today, Ken Hires and I are on a quest to see one of the largest trees in the world, the mighty General Grant.
The fallen monarch looks different every time.
Well, it's kind of an old tree. It actually is beginning to settle down some. But you know, at one time, it was a tavern, and then it was a stable, and I understand the Army also at one time housed some of its troops in it for a little while.
You know what it also is?
What's
a
that?
fort for little kids.
Oh, it'd be a great fort for a little kid, wouldn't it? You could climb on it and hide inside of it.
You can really see why this is a great fort, whether for soldiers or for kids.
You know what? For adults, too. It'd be a great spot.
It almost feels like you're inside of a whale here, inside of Moby Dick. It's about the same size.
Yeah, you know, it's starting to collapse down a little bit because it's so old, but it's just a really huge tree, and you feel like you're right, and just like in Moby Dick. Never heard it said that way before.
Hey, the Robert E. Lee tree next to the fallen monarch shows you no matter how big, eventually you fall over.
Yeah, the number one cause of death for these trees is actually being blown down by the wind because the root system is so shallow.
The Robert E. Lee tree was named in 1875 for the well-known Civil War general. At 254 feet, it is second only to the General Grant tree in height and has a diameter of 22 feet.
You also see a few young sequoias in here.
Well, these trees were planted in 1949. That was about the time they were beginning to figure out that the giant sequoias won't reproduce without fire. What they found out is that the cones don't open, and when they do, unless the fires come by and clear the ground, that they won't germinate and live. And so without fire, we wouldn't have any more new sequoias coming on except for these few planted ones.
Yeah, I planted one in my front yard about 5 years ago. My wife just figured out that it's a sequoia, and she goes, "You know how big that's going to get?"
In about 1,000 years, right?
Right. I said, hey, if we're still here, that'll be good news.
Grants Grove Trail is only a half-mile long, but there's so much to see.
When I see the cabin, I know we're almost to the big guy.
We are getting close to the big guy.
The General Grant tree is just around the corner. Along the way, we'll pass by another historical site, the Gamlin Pioneer Cabin, built in 1872.
What was this used for?
The Gamlin brothers lived here. They had a 160-acre timber lease. They also grazed a few cattle in this area. Later on, the Army took it over, and they quartered some of their troops in here and also used it for company headquarters. A tree fell in it once time and knocked the roof down, and with the help of financing from in town, they were able to rebuild it. And at that time, if you look at the bottom board all the way around, they replaced the bottom sugar pine board, which all the rest of this is made of, with giant sequoia wood, which doesn't rot because of the tannins in it. And so it's almost like having treated wood against the ground, and so it's going to stay here a lot longer.
Well, I'm ready to see the big guy.
Well, you know, it's just right around the corner here. Just a couple more minutes, we'll be there.
Yeah, this is a real treat for me. Here's an old friend.
Yeah, this is the General Grant tree. You know, that thing is 40.2 feet across at the bottom, and it's over 270 feet high.
It's taller than most buildings and cities, and older than almost anything on Earth.
We think it's around 2,000 years old. Give or take a century or two, it's really hard to tell.
The General Grant tree is the second largest living thing on the planet. In 1926, President Calvin Coolidge declared the giant sequoia our nation's Christmas tree. And President Eisenhower dedicated the General Grant as a living memorial to honor America's war heroes.
If you were here at night, you could see the stars shining through this, especially on a moonlit night. It's just like heaven. You can see why it's called America's Christmas tree.
That's something I'm going to have to see sometime.
Yes, you'll have to come back when you can be here in the nighttime, that's for sure.
For more information on Grants Grove and Kings Canyon National Park, visit nps.gov/SECI or call 559-565-3341.
Hope you enjoyed our show today in the High Sierra. And remember, even here, there are secrets and surprises that you can discover. And we'll see you next time in the great outdoors.
Promotional consideration provided by
The Sequoia High Sierra Camp.
For more information on this episode's destinations, visit cwbayarea.com.
The number one question I get is, how do you get a job like mine? I was a sports writer in Green Bay looking down at the Raider game, and it hit me that there are 70,000 people in need of a hike watching 22 guys in need of a rest. I was on the wrong side of the field. I wanted a job where I was part of the game. I love the outdoors. So when I got back, I shocked everybody and quit my job as a columnist. That was 30 years ago, and I haven't stopped since. And so if you want to get a job like mine, hit the road and refuse to do anything else.